Welcome to another Water Rat, a record breaker and a very funny man who has performed at Covent Garden to the Royal Variety performance and on the biggest and best cruise liners in the world, around the world. Steve Rawlings is Baby Rat. That means when you're proposed into the Grand Order, then you are Baby Rat until the next member is brought in and initiated. And after Steve's initiation, there seems to have been a pandemic that probably stalled the next member being put forward. Steve and I talk of his early days of his European work, which led him to learn languages to suit his audiences. And still, for me, this is one of the most dedicated and wonderful stories I've seen in an entertainer. He cares that much for his audiences and about his show that, of course, he will put the time in, like we all should. At the end of the day, it's us that will make the impact for going that extra mile. Steve Rawlings has gone an extra 1,000 miles. And that's with a trolley on his head. I'll let him tell you the rest when I chat to the magnificent Steve Rawlings.
Hello, Steve. How the devil are you?
Oh, the Steves are the best, aren't they? The best. It's the best name, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's just the best name, basically. I've been trying to get you, Steve, on here for such a long time. And the day that we do it, I've got tree surgeons around the back, out of my control. Can you believe this? So I'm hiding in the corner, as far away from them as possible. It's not Steve Rawlings juggling chainsaws. That's somebody else.
They got the chainsaws out, have they?
Yeah, maybe I should say I'm talking to Steve Rawlings. How many can you juggle?
Dozens. When I'm dreaming.
I bet you can. So, Steve, I think we first worked together was on Royal Caribbean, wasn't it? And I think Brilliance of the Seas?
Way back.
It was either Brilliance or The Grandeur of the Seas 2003.
Wow, is it that long ago?
It's 18 years ago I met you, I know. And
oh, dear Lord.
Yeah, I knew about you for so long. I knew your name, and then I was so delighted to actually watch you work finally. And then from then on, we've been in touch ever since, and it's been...
Yeah, we've been friends ever since, haven't we?
Yeah, no, it's amazing.
We hung out when you were there, and then we bumped into each other all the way down the line, haven't we?
Yeah, it's just one of those things, isn't it? And then, obviously, we'll get to talk about the Water Rats, but then I saw you even more then. So it's we're always going to cross paths, which is amazing, and been in the variety world as well. But what I love about you is that you completely blew me away when I watched you work. You're not only hilarious, you're so gifted in the talent department, but you've got this alter ego. It's because when you come off stage, that character is nowhere to be seen. You're the nicest, calmest, happiest guy as far as I know, but when you're on stage, you scare the shit out of people. So and literally, it's you separate yourself, don't you, from that act? You're not that person.
Yeah, I mean, I think a good character is you take a little part of yourself and then you expand on it, make it bigger, and see where that takes you.
Yes.
So that part of me is there. There is that part of me, but it's just a massively inflated,
exaggerated,
part to give you the character.
Yeah. Oh, well, it's brilliant. Are there any influences there from other characters? I mean, I see the young ones in you. I not only see a bit of Rick Mail, I see a bit of Aid Edmondson, maybe.
Not them, no, because I was doing all that before them. Well, not before them, before I saw them, I guess. Because I was a street performer back in the early 80s when I would reckon that they were starting to do work the comedy clubs.
Yes.
Although I hadn't heard of them or seen them,
sure,
they were developing their style round about then. So when I started to do the clubs, they moved on and upwards and started to doing the TVs and stuff.
Yes. Yeah, I'm imagining that they saw you and then they found their characters. You never know. Hey?
I'm pretty sure they were doing the Dangerous, Rick and Aid were doing the Dangerous Brothers before I was doing anything.
Oh, yes. So can we talk about
at the Comedy Store or wherever,
Yeah, amazing. I spoke to Nigel Planer on here, and he's given me some...
Seriously?
Yeah, he gave me some amazing...
Fantastic.
It's brilliant. He gave me just such brilliant insight to the early Comedy Store days, and he was literally like 2 weeks into it opening, and he was one of those acts along with Rick and Aid. It was incredible to hear those stories. So nice. And you
It was a fantastic, because a lot of those acts went on to do big things.
are incredibly big things. But Steve, you've done some incredibly big thing. I can't say it now. You've done some incredibly big things that I'm just completely in awe with, and I'll get to all of those, but it's
Oh, cheers.
it's the way you present yourself as well. It's such, you're so well respected within the business as an actor and as a person. But how did you get to that point? And so it was before Covent Garden. What did you do before you became a street performer?
I left school with no real qualifications. I got a few GCSEs and whatever, but
Okay, snap.
I initially wanted to work in a garden centre, and I did about a week there. I realised nobody was working but me, so I stopped
Right.
as well. Left that job not long afterwards, and literally went from one bad job to another.
Yeah.
And I used to do lifeguarding as a sort of backup if I couldn't find any other job.
Okay.
And then I applied for Butlins because I couldn't think what else to do. Ended up there as a lifeguard. And when you're a lifeguard, you have to do redcoat duties. And
I didn't know that.
really didn't want to do them, and I got dragged kicking and screaming into the kids club onto the stage.
It's usually
to help
dragging out of the kids club.
Really fought it. I didn't want to be there. I didn't want to do anything. I just wanted to drink and, have a good time. And then I got on stage, and it was literally a light bulb moment.
Yeah.
I liked being on stage, and it was the first thing I'd actually thought I'd actually wanted to do. And I just wanted to be on stage after that. So when I got back to London after the season was over, I looked for anything that would get me on stage, and I didn't have the money for the mime course. The clown one was full. That would be at Drury Lane. And I found a juggling workshop at a place called Oval House, which is just opposite Kennington Oval.
Amazing. How long did you have to be on that course? Was it 6 weeks or a few months?
It wasn't a course. It was literally a workshop on a Saturday.
Oh, okay.
2 hours.
Was
I
it?
taught myself to do 3 balls because I was bored in one of the previous jobs. And then because I couldn't work out how to go any further than that, I just sort of put it all down again.
Yeah.
So I could juggle 3 when I got there. But the second I got 3 clubs in my hand, that was it. That was what I wanted to do. That's what I wanted to be, was a juggler. Then it was like, where do I go? And I went back to Butlins. I was working with a guy called Alex I was practicing with a guy called Alex Dandridge, if you know him.
Okay, I don't know that name.
And I thought it'd be best to go back to Butlins for the next year as a redcoat and get some stage experience.
Yes.
And Alex stayed in London and did street performing. So when I got back, I thought, it was great. I got all this experience on stage. And then I saw Alex, and his act was so far in front of mine because he'd been doing like shows 2, 3 a day for a year.
I see.
And mixing with other jugglers.
Yeah.
And then I started to street perform at Covent Garden.
Yeah, that looks like it's the place to be then, I guess, if you're going to hone your act over and over every day. And that's what you did. So did you move to London? Did you live near London?
No, I've always lived, at the time I lived in London, yeah. I was living with my parents down in South East London.
Okay, perfect.
A place called Catford.
Yeah.
So I was travelling up every day, dying a horrible death. Making evil plans and coming back the next day.
Yeah, the best do, didn't they?
You just have to do show after show after show, and each one you have a little rethink on how the first one went and what could I change, what could I do, and you talk to people, and especially at somewhere like Covent Garden, there's a whole bunch of performers hanging around, and if they think you're actually going to stay and you're determined enough, they'll start to give you little hints and advice and ideas and see if you listen to them, and then they'll open up a bit more. So it was a big old learning experience, yeah.
Yeah, so people, the acts would rally round and kind of help you out if you were starting, and they wouldn't mind.
Yeah, once they know that you're not a fly-by-night,
yeah,
you kind of have to do a winter there to be accepted.
Okay, I understand.
As a full-on proper performer.
Yeah, stand the cold.
Because that kind of sorts the men from the boys. If you're going through a winter there and freezing with everybody else, you're all right.
Is that why you started to use the fire? Because you're out there in the winter, it's freezing. So add some fire to the act. You just warm up the hands.
You could use fire at one end of the piazza, but not at the other. There's an indoor market where that wasn't allowed.
Okay.
The outdoor pitch, but it's like everything. You graduate to what's going to get you the best result, isn't it? Everyone kind of knew that you set some clubs alight. You're almost guaranteed people will stop to watch for a little bit.
Yeah.
At least.
So, yeah, people love a fire, especially arsonists.
I mean, fire's a great thing. It's very visual. It's people already think it's dangerous, so it's a fun prop to play with.
Yeah, it's incredible. And I've been backstage at a few shows, and I may have done this twice now for you, but the lighter fluid on your hat. When you
put the lighter fluid on my hat for me, did you?
I did, mate. I done it in Blackpool for you.
You're a brave man.
I was brave because there was a guy that works with explosives who sorted all the pyros out for the end of the finale. And he said, "Steve, what you doing?" I said, "Well, Steve, you were on stage at the time, and I was doing what you told me to." And he said, "Don't put no more on." I said, "No, Steve said just do it until it's all covered." He went, "No, don't you? You know, I deal with pyros. Don't put no more." I said, "I'm just doing what Steve Rawlings said. He wants fire. He wants his head to be on fire." And this pyro guy was really panicking about what I was doing, but thankfully,
wow, I had no idea about that.
Oh, did you not? No. So, do you know how dangerous that is? What you're doing? No, or you know how safe the hat is if you don't spill over the edge.
Yeah, I mean, that hat, I had a patch on the top of it.
Yes, I noticed that.
Which is where you put the stuff.
Hopefully.
And I knew exactly how much stuff to go on.
Okay.
When we first thought of the idea, went through all the experiments and made a few ideas up until we found one that worked. And when I first did it, because we were panicking about obviously setting myself on fire or whatever,
yeah,
we made the hat, we put the stuff on top of the hat, and then we stuffed it with paper and burnt it a long time. And then opened it up and had a look at the paper to see what happened.
Oh, clever.
And when the paper was fine, we went, okay, it's probably safe then.
Oh, that's amazing. But do you know how much pressure that is on the guy backstage, the tech guy?
I do, yeah. And I do know it's a big ask.
And Nina...
You know, I always say to people, I hope I said to you, this is my risk to take.
Yeah, of course.
I've had someone put an entire can on the hat for a laugh once.
For a laugh? Wow.
I wasn't laughing particularly, but the whole hat went up. The absolute complete hat just went up in a ball of flames.
Oh, my God.
But
wow.
I still wasn't injured, so we did make a good prop there.
Yeah, bloody good finale, though.
So, yeah, we couldn't get it out, though.
No, I
in a bucket of water.
Oh, jeez, mate.
But that was an outside street gig, so...
okay.
Yeah, it was safe.
More safer. But I was very proud doing that, actually, because it's quite an epic part of your show, isn't it? And it builds up to this. It looks...
Yeah, it's one of my big bits. Yeah, it's one of my signature bits, which is it's a very strong piece.
Yeah,
it's a nice bit of comedy, and it's weird though when you make something like that. You think, okay, what's the idea? The idea is I'm balancing a fire club on my chin as part of the act. I'm going to just knock the fire club back into the pattern, but it's going to hit my head first. It's going to hit me on the top of the hat, and then go back into the juggling pattern, and I'm going to pretend I don't know I'm on fire. But the problem is you're not sure if you're on fire.
Oh, really? You don't know?
Sometimes you can only judge by the audience's reaction to know whether you're on fire or not. You can't see it because it's above your head, and you can't really smell it. So you can only go by looking at people, and sometimes it just doesn't catch on a first go.
Oh.
But the first time you do it, you kind of think, wow, I'm going to be flame on my head, and people are going to rush the stage and try and save me, and they just sat there and looked at me.
We'll let him deal with it.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Well, it's incredible.
Ice and Steve.
The Covent Garden years, how long did you do that for, Steve?
On and off, I think, for about 8 to 10 years.
Okay, wow.
From the mid-80s, I started doing the comedy clubs. Then I got a big break and did the West End, and the end of the 88, maybe.
Yes.
And I got management by then. I was doing some TVs, touring, support act, that kind of stuff. So I slowly stopped doing them completely, probably about the late 80s.
That's the time where we talk about the Comedy Store. It's when all this comedy really kicked off, isn't it? And the stand-up, and it was massive back then. So do you think you were in the...
Yeah, when I started doing jonglers, there was only one jonglers club. And
really?
They went up to about 20, I believe.
Yeah.
But it was literally, I think it had been going probably about 2 years when I got there.
Okay.
But they were wonderful venues. They were lovely. They were beautifully run. And the audiences, although they were, I suppose you'd have to say they were yuppies. So they were quite smart, quite full of themselves.
Yeah.
Quite full of alcohol.
Yes.
but a really good crowd. You could really take them somewhere.
Oh, right, that's nice. They were there to be entertained, weren't they?
Yeah, you'd get heckled a lot in Barrack, but they were a smart crowd. They knew their stuff.
Did you get to do Stand and Deliver? I think Mike Reed hosted it, and it was a show that a lot of comedy acts did at the time at Jongleurs.
No, I don't think I did, although I had worked with Mike. Rick Waitman, funnily enough, he did a couple of series with Jongleurs where he was comparing.
Yes, he did. Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, I did a couple of them with him.
Yeah, I remember seeing that series. I think it was on Sky One, was it? There's a Sky programme or something.
I think he probably did about 5-6 series of them.
Blimey.
They were quite a success, yeah. But I mean, in the early days, the great thing about doing those clubs was when you did them, there was always somebody there watching you. Like, that's where the TV guys went. That's where anyone who was anyone really went. I mean, Stephen Fry and Hugh Laurie did those clubs.
Yeah.
In the early days. All kinds of people were performing there. There was always somebody who was important, or some kind of producer or booker, or there was always someone there, and you'd be having chats afterwards and picking up work.
Yeah, I suppose it was the early days Edinburgh Festival, wasn't it, around that time?
I don't know really, because I didn't do the Edinburgh Festival for quite some time, so I'm not quite sure on the sort of dates there.
So is that how the Sugar Babies come about? Because I know that Ron Lucas in America done the Sugar Babies with Mickey Rooney, and you got to do the
American juggler, a fantastic American juggler called Michael Davis, who was a huge influence to jugglers world over. He did it in America for years as well as Frank Olivier, I believe, who's another comedy juggler.
Okay.
But I got it from auditioning.
I
was literally still working at Covent Garden doing street shows, and they were auditioning quite near there, and I'd heard about the audition and got called back. I think I did 3 auditions for them in the end.
Really?
Which I think is not too bad, considering I've heard people do 8 and 9 and still not get it for different parts in the West End. Yeah,
it's fantastic. You get a lot of callbacks, don't you? But I wouldn't have thought as a comedy juggler you're going to need to keep going back. You know, your act is, that's it. You know,
well, they were looking at a lot of people, I think.
Okay, you've got to narrow it down.
If I'm honest, I think they would have preferred Michael Davis to do the entire run, but luckily for me that Equity wouldn't allow that, Equity being the Actors Union.
Ah, yes.
They had to use an English guy.
Thank God for Equity.
I got very, very lucky with that.
Yeah, brilliant. And so...
Alternatively, I got unlucky at the other end when I was touring with Hale and Pace, comedy double act, and they wanted me to come and support them in Australia, and I couldn't do that one because of Australian equity rules,
Actors
Union rules.
That's a shame at the other end.
Yeah, it would have been lovely, but I think I won in the long run on that one, I guess.
Yeah, a lot of people build up, Steve, to the Royal Variety performance. You know, it's where you're going to become a household name. The Royal Variety show is... You've done it quite at the start of your career, didn't you? You got the Royal Variety quite early on.
Late 80s, early 90s, probably, yeah. I don't think it makes your career, but I think it puts a certain stamp of, this guy's really good.
Yeah.
It gives you that stamp of authority and a little bit of kudos behind it.
Yeah, definitely.
Part of the establishment, I guess.
Yes. Well, Sinatra's done it, so I know what you mean.
Yeah, it's a big deal, and yeah, it felt like one at the time.
It's amazing. Do you remember who was on your billing when you did it? Because we're all talking about variety. So who was in your dressing room next door?
I was there with Brian Conley.
Oh, fab.
I think Pasquale was there. Bee Gees were there.
Oh, were they? All 3 of them?
Yeah. It's weird bimbling around at the back of the stage and there's a Bee Gee at the end of the corridor.
You know you're doing all right if there's a Bee Gee backstage with you, though. That's...
Yeah, and my mum got to come and, all that kind of stuff was lovely.
Oh, amazing.
Oh, conversational.
I like to talk about cruise ships because we met on the ships and you're one of the most busiest, one of the most respected, acts out there. But on the cruise ships industry as well, they love you. And I can't wait to talk about...
You're kind to say so, sir.
Oh, mate, you're one of those acts that just blew me away from the moment. And every time I get to work with you. I'm gutted actually sometimes when we cross over, when you're getting off and I'm getting on, and I've missed seeing Steve Rawlings do this.
Yeah, it's annoying, isn't it? See all your mates coming and going.
Yeah.
Off as you come on, but
Yeah, well, it's nice to have a
every
quick.
time we are on a jet, we always meet up, don't we?
Yeah, definitely. So when did you start? What do you remember your first cruise ship?
Oh, let me see.
Or
I think I did mid-90s. I did one or two, and then it didn't quite work. I was a little bit too rough around the edges, and then I went back in 2000
okay,
for Blackburn International,
yes.
and I've been doing them on and off ever since for them.
Blimey, my first one was in '97 for Blackburn International, so that was wow.
Yeah, the first one was for a different agent. I can't remember her name now, but
Elaine Avon, was it?
yeah.
Okay.
Yes, that's the one. Yeah,
All right.
Elaine Avon. But yeah, I just don't. I was a little bit too sort of comedy clubby for them, I think.
Oh, I see. Yeah, it's different.
On the first time round, on the second time of asking, I was more ready for it.
Okay, brilliant. You've done your groundwork. You sort of knew what to do.
You know a little bit more about it. You suss out what they need, and I think cruising had changed a little bit by then as well.
Yeah, and it's amazing to have the experience and to be able to adapt to that audience is incredibly it's hard working for you to do that, to change, slightly change some of your act to suit that audience, but it's very professional to be able to do that as well.
Yeah, I mean, you want to work everywhere, don't you, really? Because why would you want to cross off? I mean, it's a huge industry, the cruise ships, and will be again.
Yeah.
And it's also probably for someone like me one of the only places where you can see where your show takes you, where you can have your own show and have a full house in a big theatre and see what you can do with that hour or 50 minutes, whatever it is.
Yeah.
What would I do if I had this big long show? How would it look? What would I do in it?
That's the beauty, isn't it? Because you've got the lighting and the sound.
At home, if I said, okay, the Steve Rawlings show is going to Peterborough or somewhere, it would be a nightmare trying to fill the seats because I'm not a star. I don't have that constant TV thing of my own program or anything like that.
Sure.
So, going on a ship is probably the nearest you can get to that, I think.
Yeah, and the rooms, the theatres that you do work on the ships, they're completely full.
They're fabulous.
They're full. They're beautiful, stunning rooms.
And they're state of the art. A lot of the staging and the lighting, it's all state of the art. A lot of them are new builds now, whereas the stuff in the West End, it's all sort of getting a little bit old around the edges, isn't it?
Yeah. It's incredible at sea. We're very lucky when we do get to do them contracts, and you've got a full room of people laughing and cheering, and it's an incredible feeling. And the cruise industry, you get the TV executives or the people like Simon Cowell who diss the cruise industry, but it's where most of the greatest performers in the world are today. That's where you'll find them.
Yeah, I mean, that's because he doesn't know what he's talking about.
I know. It's true. He's never been on.
Ask anyone in the industry. It's the cruising industry is one of the biggest employers of artists now.
Yeah, and thank God.
Well, I say now, obviously, when it comes back to its...
yes, obviously.
Gets back to being as strong as it was.
Yeah, we're on a break. I think this is incredible what you did. So I worked with you, say, 18 years ago, and I sat and watched you,
Yes.
and you had 2 shows that night, but the second show was Spanish speaking only. So I thought, how's he going to do this? Because I didn't know. So I thought, how's Steve going to pull this off? Are they going to understand what he's saying? And then I sat down and watched, and I was so amazed about what I saw. Your whole show was in Spanish, and so you just changed the language, like you had a little button, and you it was amazing, Steve. And I know I've spoke to you about this, and I've told you how amazed I am at how you do this, but that's not the only language you do your act in now. Can you tell us how many languages?
No, French, Spanish, German, Japanese,
Wow.
and then I can speak little bits of a whole bunch of other languages.
Yes.
Just to make people feel welcome and included,
Oh,
but not enough for a conversation.
Yeah, that's such respect for your audience. That is to actually to be dedicated to dedicate all that time to do that. And there probably are other acts that do that, but I don't think as passionate as you have done it. I don't,
I'm lucky that I've got a good ear for the sounds of things.
Okay.
So normally, except maybe in the case of Chinese, which is a nightmare, I can hear it and repeat back pretty much like I heard it the first time.
Yes.
So I'm lucky with that. And it all came from, I was happily doing my thing in the UK, and I suddenly looked around and went, where's Miss Bab and Paul Morocco gone? Who are amazing artists and good friends of mine. And they started to realise that there was a really nice circuit out in Europe,
Right.
particularly Germany.
Okay.
So I thought I should have a look. And when I looked, I realised that I would need to speak German, because even though, and then Spanish and French and whatever, but even though in the big cities like Munich or Berlin or something, you do get a certain amount of English spoken,
Yes.
once you go outside of there, they didn't really speak much English, and you needed to speak the language. I got a translator, which I then realised was the wrong one. I got a kind of school teachery translator.
Right.
But what you get then is the proper language, which is not really what you want to be speaking in a show.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like an English teacher would teach you how to speak English, but if you actually put that person then out in the real world, they would sound quite weird.
Okay. Right. Everyone thinks we speak like the Queen.
I then got a normal sort of young German guy to translate for me. It was actually Romany's ex-fella.
Okay.
Who translated some stuff, and I did a bare bones, literally what words do I need to get me to the end of the act from one step to another. And then each time I went back, I'd learn another little paragraph until I built it up to a full show, and then I kind of repeated the process with other languages as I got the gigs through.
That's just brilliant. And so I guess that helped you, the cruise ships kind of helped you get that into your mindset, but then doing the European galas was a brand new market for you, and you're like away for months at a time.
In Germany, there was also a little, I think, called Kleinkunst, which is like small venues paid for by the council, which was always really good.
Yeah.
Then you've got the dinner theatres out in Europe, where there's a whole bunch of acts and a little bit of a storyline and a gourmet kind of five-course meal, all within a tent. Absinthe would be the main example of that now.
Okay.
Out in America,
Yeah.
in Vegas. But then you've also got the circus, the Christmas circuses. I'm going to do one this year out in Dusseldorf, which are wonderful gigs to do.
That's incredible. And I've heard of the Spiegel tents. They have like Spiegel tents, is that right?
Yeah, that's your dinner theatre, your Spiegel tilt.
Cabaret.
It's mirror tent is what it means.
Okay. Wow.
We had a couple of those go around England, didn't we, I think?
Yes, and I've done the Udderbelly, South Bank, that sort of thing.
Yeah,
where
for the life of me, I can't think what they're called for a minute, and I do apologise.
That's all right.
But it's the same sort of thing. I think the original was called Pump Duck.
Okay.
And that was out in Germany long time ago now.
That's interesting.
It's really cool to be able to work all these different types of venues and get different experiences and meet different artists with different ideas.
It is fantastic to hear the passion that you've got for that, and I suppose I took my Nina for her 40th to Paris to the Moulin Rouge, and I mean, yeah, that's something where I could see you working, because you can do Europe and you do your act, and you get comedians, ventriloquists, and jugglers. I think we had a juggler there. Can't remember his name, sadly, but it was brilliant to see variety in the Moulin Rouge. Where it's started really for France. It's incredible.
Yeah, there's a few venues out in Paris that do those kind of shows, and I would love to do one, absolutely no question, just for the experience of living and working in Paris for a bit.
Yeah.
How cool would that be?
Get in the Moulin Rouge, mate. When we're coming back. If you're going to be there, it'd be brilliant. It's so great to see you there.
Yeah.
And
that'd be amazing. I'll try and sort that out for you. Get you some comps on the door.
Thanks, mate. Mercy. That's all. I can say hello, I love you, and goodbye in about 5 different languages. No, that's all you needed when you were 21, working in
more do you need?
Cyprus. That's all I needed, and it really worked.
Can you say it with your mouth closed, though? That's the thing.
I had no choice sometimes. Yes,
go.
it was yeah, that's all you need. So I actually come to see a show that you did at the Hexagon in Reading. I love that venue. Yeah, you've done the big comedy bash there, and it was for
That's it, yeah.
and it was a show that ran for about 10 years. Is that right?
Yes, yeah. We only really stopped because it was becoming more difficult because I was always out in Germany
Yeah.
during that time. It just became too difficult to organise it from a distance like that.
Yeah, it was a huge
But we had some
thing.
wonderful gigs.
It
Really,
was,
really top notch. They were lovely.
yeah.
And raised a lot of money, which was great.
That's amazing. It's for autism. Was it for autism?
Yeah, for kids with autism.
Yeah, it was brilliant.
I mean, one year, dear Lord, we had Rick Wakeman, we had Eddie Izzard, Al Murray, Sean Locke,
Wow.
Felix Dexter. God, we had and Bill, go with the
Bailey.
There you go. Sorry, Bill.
Oh, that's
All on the
fantastic.
same bill. And the problem we'd had was we went there about a week before to the Hexagon to see how many tickets we'd sold. A week before the show was on.
Right.
And we just confirmed Bill, because the problem with a lot of the really big names was they couldn't confirm and wouldn't till the last minute. So how do you advertise that?
Yeah.
And then I think the next day Eddie confirmed, Eddie Izzard, when he's filling out the O2 arena.
Wow.
And we went and we found out we'd sold 300 tickets. And we're going, oh God, we've got Eddie Izzard, we've got Bill Bailey, we've got Al Murray, and we've sold 300 tickets.
No.
And we've got 4 days. How do we sort this? And Rita, my lovely wife, she said, look, just put it on Ticketmaster.
Right.
And we did that as we sat down for a cup of tea. And by the time we finished the tea, we'd sold out.
Oh, that's incredible. Just people didn't know about it, and it just proves that PR is key.
What a panic. Imagine all these big people, these wonderful acts
Yeah.
coming in.
Oh, I know.
And
And
a
it,
half full house.
half full. Well,
Nightmare.
300's good for my show. I'm happy with that.
Well, yeah, it's a fine thing.
It is.
300 is a good number.
Yeah, but well done, mate, because I did see one of your shows. I saw Felix Dexter, and I know I loved it so
Paul
much.
Zerdin used to do them as well.
Paul did, didn't he? And
Yeah, he did a couple for us.
I think I begged you to put me on, actually, and you did. You put me on the following year. So thank you, because I had such a great experience.
And you were fantastic, and it was lovely of you to do it.
Thanks, mate. It was.
I've always been a big fan of yours, mate.
Oh, bless you, Steve. Thank you, mate. Vice versa. But Rick Wakeman was on. It's the first time I met Rick, actually, and he was so
He's probably
delightful,
the nicest man in showbiz,
isn't he?
period.
Isn't he? He's amazing. And obviously we joined the Water Rats, and then Rick Wakeman was my king rat. So I kind of felt like I knew him because of your gig. But your gig was the first time I also saw Raymond and Timpkins, and they were fantastic. Aren't they brilliant?
They love the act, don't they?
Yes. You brought so much comedy, but every act was top notch, and it was just a great atmosphere in that venue. It was.
We tried to make it a great night. I think the only time we got it wrong, we thought it would be a good idea to end on a band.
All right.
And I felt so sorry for them. They come down all the way down from Preston, somewhere like that, rehearsed all day. They were a Queen tribute band, and a really good one.
Right.
But people had come for the comedy, and the second the band started, because we had them closing, because we thought, close on a big bash.
Yeah.
Kind of big sound, lovely. And 3/4 of the audience got up and left. I was gutted for them.
Oh no, that's a shame, because you can sit and watch and
what
enjoy
can you
it.
do? You can only plan what you think will work and hope that it does in the end.
Yeah, you do. I mean, when I planned that show for Keith Harris in 2018, you so
that was lovely. That.
so kindly come up. But when you think about, shall I put that on the bill? And I had like 25 acts on the bill. I'm thinking, no, oh no, and I was so gutted that you ended up on quite late. But I watched it a couple of weeks ago, Steve, and you just you stormed it. It was incredible, and And I knew, you know, that you were so strong. I didn't know it was going to go on as late as it did, but these things happen. But it was...
Yeah, things like that, when so many acts have been on, you know, people get a little bit tired and then it becomes a little more difficult.
Yeah, but they were...
It was a lovely night, and it was...
It
was really nice to see all my old mates there as well.
It's always nice to have a reunion, wasn't it? Like Tom Binns, and it was so good. And you knew so many people, and they knew who you were. So it was just. And that was the night I actually.
I mean, Ladsy Andres, good lord, I haven't.
Oh yes.
I remember him being the juggling wonder boy.
Really? Is that Mookie with Mookie?
Yeah, he could. I think at the age of, he did Paul Daniels at the age of about 10 or something.
Wow.
Paul Daniels show, which was like the show that everybody wanted to do. Who had a special act at the time. Yes,
that's incredible. And
now he's Mookie the Clown, isn't he, at Blackpool Tower Circus?
Yeah, he's Mookie, and he done Mookie for us actually. I think
he's a fantastic clown.
Went down so great.
But originally, he was an amazing juggler as well.
I didn't know that.
He used to do 5 clubs on a travelling motorbike round the ring.
Jeez.
Stood on the seat of the motorbike while a mate of his drove, I think.
Yeah.
Well, I hope while someone drove.
Can you imagine? Clever Dick. So, yeah. I imagine do you constantly rehearse? I mean, you must have to rehearse a lot when you've got...
Yeah.
You do it the day before a show, or is it every day? It must be intense.
It depends on the show, really. Some shows you just can't do the practice, but ideally I'd have about a half hour to 40 minutes beforehand.
Okay.
In a quiet spot, just so I can warm up and get my eye in. But yeah, you don't always get that. That's pre-show, but I still love juggling, and I still trying to learn new stuff, and I still find it exciting. So when I can, I'll get 1 or 2 hours practice in a day. Not every day, obviously, because you need a break and your body needs to recover.
Yeah, and you need to travel as well.
Sometimes your mind needs a little bit of time for whatever you're trying to learn to sink in a little bit.
Yeah, no, I totally understand.
Even out here, I've put a 5-minute routine in, a new 5 minutes. So that's been a lot of fun.
Ice and Tea. I was watching a couple of weeks ago with my wife Nina, Amazon Prime, and we literally got into this show, which we fell in love with it. You might not even want to talk about this.
That's amazing, because it's a German show, isn't it?
Yeah, it's called Last One Laughing. Well, it's really strange, because I said to Nina that it looks like there's this comedy show, and we put it on, and it was Australian. But the first one we watched was, because there was an Australian, German, and I thought, oh, what's this? And it was really strange, because I started to watch the German one, and I was just reading the subtitles. And I thought, oh, Nina, watch this, it's really funny. And then she said, is there any English-speaking ones? So we watched the Australian season, all 6 episodes, and we loved it.
Oh, wow.
And I said, well, there's an Australian, Brazilian, German, Italian, and Mexican. So let's watch all of them. And we were sat there watching. We've only watched 2 series yet. So we watched Australian, and then we got into the German one, which is all equally as brilliant. And then we were sat there, and I went, no, look, Nina. And she turned around and saw you. And Steve Rawlings walks on, and it's incredible. And how can you not laugh at Steve Rawlings? The premise of the show is you're not allowed to laugh, or you lose $100,000 or something. So it's like you had to, just work so hard to try and make them laugh. Oh, what a great gig to get, though.
Yeah, I mean, it was only 2 3-minute spots, I think it was.
Yes.
And I got that, thankfully, mid the first big lockdown in the UK.
Brilliant.
So I've been at work for about 4 or 5 months, and I got that through. So I was really lucky in that way.
Yeah.
It was quite a few COVID tests and a lot of masks and goggles and stuff.
Really? To get you in?
And they were taking it very seriously.
Sure.
And some quarantine in the hotel when you got there.
Okay.
But, yeah, it was lovely. And funny enough, the guy whose show it was had seen me perform in a Spiegel tent show, a dinner show in Munich.
Okay.
How I got the gig.
So they do pay off. That's brilliant.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so good. It was so good to see you. And I know I messaged you at the time. I said, oh my God, we're just watching you.
That was really sweet of you, because it's surprising the people that watched that, because I wasn't sure, because it was one of those sort of fly-on-the-wall-y house type shows, where it was
it's like reality, but because the comedy aspect, I'm
a
all over
reality
it.
show. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good
The
idea.
premise was basically if you laughed twice, you're out, wasn't it? Is that correct for both those shows?
There's 10 comedians in every different country. Yeah, it's the same set. It's the same, just 10 different comedians that speak different languages. It's brilliant. I'm waiting for the British one. Not to get on it, but me and Nina were guessing who would be on the British one, like Jimmy Carr, Sarah Millican, all those sort of people,
Yeah.
That'd be brilliant. Put Lee Evans in there.
That would be interesting. Because it did get to the point where I think the last 3 people clearly weren't going to crack.
Yeah.
And then one went, and they brought in this guy who just laughs all the time. Got a really infectious laugh to try and get someone going.
Yeah.
And then they brought me in with an act that needed a volunteer when there were 3 people there.
Oh, right. Yes.
Which was kind of weird. I did my ball balancing thing. And there's 3 people sat there, one of whom is a plant who laughs at everything. And then I had to go, well, I need a volunteer, you. So there's literally me performing to this one guy and the plant, which was kind of strange, but quite fun.
Oh, it was brilliant. It was so good to see you. It was so nice. And so your son, Jay, has taken to this crazy showbiz lark. Did you try hard to persuade him into being a lawyer or a policeman, or was it too late?
No, we just wanted him to be happy and do what he wanted to do.
Oh.
So we didn't push too hard with the show thing.
Yeah.
But we sort of let him see it all and have little goes at all kinds of stuff. And then see where he wanted to take it.
Yeah, and he's excelled in his performance, hasn't he? You must be the greatest inspiration. Yeah.
He got more records than I have, for a start.
That's he. Well, it's just never ending. It's like non-stop. And you two are always sort of helping each other out on the video clips and stuff in lockdowns. And it was so nice to see you working hard together.
Yeah, Jay started all the sort of world recordy thing, but then we were kind of looking at it as what can we do during lockdown to try and sort of help when we come out.
Yeah.
And then it just became a fun thing that we were doing. I mean, I'm sure, like me, you were brought up on the Roy Castle stuff, weren't you? The
Record Breakers
show. And
loved it.
The book every Christmas.
Yeah. No, it's such a brilliant book and TV show.
Yeah, and it never even occurred to me that we'd actually have a record ourselves, let alone more than one.
Yeah.
So that's been a lot of fun, and I've really enjoyed that. And I think when I get home, we'll do some more of that. Try and break a few more.
That's brilliant. So have you got the Guinness World Record book? Have you seen it? Have you seen your entries in there? Or?
I haven't, but Jay's actually in it, which is fabulous.
Oh.
I'm so proud.
Oh, that's brilliant. That's so nice.
Yeah, but I mean, Jay used to get it every year from when he was a kid, and still does. I always buy him the Guinness Record book every year.
Really? So it's in the back of his mind all the time, really. So he's probably had that little urge to be in the book, actually, and do something about it.
Yeah, but I think as just a person, you just never think you would be. Because, yeah, records are difficult, and it's so cool. It's a really cool, fun thing to do.
Yeah.
I've got a lot of fun from doing it. A lot of aches and pains, obviously.
Yeah, it must be.
Big lumps on my forehead from it. But,
blimey. Yeah, when you look at the trolleys that you're putting on your head, you're balancing a trolley on your chin. You're off your trolley.
Funnily enough, one of the worst was doing the guitar.
Was it?
I've got the world record at the moment for guitar on forehead, longest balance. The first time we tried that, I was in pain from minute number 2. It's just a really uncomfortable thing to have on your forehead. If it was on my chin, it wouldn't be so bad. But
oh, really? Wow. So you must get headaches.
It was really incredibly painful. And by the time I took it off, there was a massive dent in my forehead where the guitar had been. So there was a big lump
really?
on my head where the dent had been.
Oh, God.
It just pushed itself back out.
No, it wasn't plugged into the PA, was it, at the time?
No, thankfully.
So you done that in 75 minutes and 4.23 seconds. That's incredible. I mean, your neck does it affect your neck? You must obviously get dents in your head, but...
The thing was, when we first started doing the endurance balancing stuff, we weren't really sure how far and how long you could go without injuring yourself.
Sure.
Genuinely.
Yeah.
So now, my longest record now is 2.5 hours balancing something on my chin.
Wow.
I think it was a baseball bat. But when you finish, you actually can't put your head forward. You have to grab it with your hand and pull it back into position.
Yeah,
you kind of got a little bit locked into it.
Yeah, you must have some balance issues sort of after, that amount of time looking up.
It's discomfort, really. It's how long can you deal with the pain.
Yeah.
That's how it comes in the end.
Oh, okay. Right.
Because if you think you look up, and without putting anything in your head or anything, look up straight at the ceiling for 10 minutes and see how you feel, how your neck feels, how
Yes.
everything.
It's endurance.
And then you start to realise, okay, this is really not very comfortable. That's why having Jay around when we're doing the records, or having me around, works so well. Because you distract each other, you talk to each other, you encourage.
Yeah, I guess you can't time it yourself because you can't look down at your watch, otherwise you've ruined the trick. So you need someone else to time it for you. Unless the clock is on the ceiling.
There's a lot of regulations to doing a Guinness record. You have to have your observers, you have to have your timers, you have to film the timing of the filming. There's a lot of stuff and qualifications for actually authenticating a record. And if you haven't ticked all the boxes, you won't get it.
Yeah, of course.
My first one I tried was in Germany in a circus Christmas show, and I balanced the 7-foot stepladder on my chin an 8 foot, sorry. 8 foot for 15 minutes, which was 2.5 minutes over the record, and then I didn't get the record.
You didn't?
Because they hadn't measured it correctly.
Oh.
I was gutted because I'd gone through a lot of pain to get to that bit.
Yeah.
And I was so chuffed with myself, actually having broken one. And then Jade got his on VGT, which was fantastic.
With the chairs.
And I thought, right, mine will come through shortly. And then they went, nah, sorry.
Oh, no. That's such a shame.
Yeah, so I had some catching up to do.
Yeah, but you got the longest duration balancing a cricket bat on the chin, 1.5 hours, 5 seconds.
Yeah.
But when you've done the wine glass on a stick, that was only 30 minutes, 9 seconds. But the actual thing, balancing something, balancing the glass on the stick must be even more tricky than just balancing a bat. It must be harder because the concentration is more enduring.
I don't know. I think it was only because we didn't want to break the record by too much. I think that one was.
Yeah,
the record was very, very low.
All right.
When we looked at it. So, no, we could treble that, I think, if we tried again.
Yes.
But
it's amazing. If you got the time.
One of the difficult ones was throwing and catching the glass onto the stick.
Oh, wow. Blimey. Yeah, that can't be easy.
That took a while and a lot of broken glass.
My Nina, she balances a glass of wine on her lips probably for about 2 seconds, I think. Then the wine's gone, then she just puts it down. So, it's about endurance.
She clearly needs more practice.
No, she doesn't. No, this lockdown has put a stop to that. But it's so incredible. It's lovely to hear your relationship with you and Jay, and how much you've inspired him, not just as a performer, but as a father as well. It's just so great to see him. You know, he does a version of your act as well, doesn't he, Steve? You've really taught him.
Yeah, but he's also got a load of his own stuff in there now with magic and psychology and stuff.
Yeah, it's brilliant.
But yeah, we wanted to give him somewhere to start with and then see where he'd go with his own stuff.
Yeah, and it's so great to see him do that as well. And I suppose, did you teach?
We kind of share tricks. If he's found something really cool and he thinks it will fit me, he'll come and tell me.
Oh.
And likewise, if I've got something that fits him.
Yeah, that's fab. Did you ever tell him to have something to fall back on? Like he could have been your accountant and balanced the books.
No, we didn't actually. All we want is, all any parent wants is their kid to be happy, really, isn't it?
Oh, definitely, yeah. That's what
in life and in work.
Yeah.
And if they're that, I'm good with that.
Yeah, when you see what's happened the past, 16 months, and then all you want really is happiness, because it is about people, isn't it? This being in this strange world. Yeah. So COVID-19 hit the planet Earth, which is very weird because I don't remember the first 18 COVIDs. But anyway, cruise ships, theatres, anywhere where there's an audience was obviously shut down for us as entertainers. So how long were you at home for?
Well, bizarrely, I just got off the Diamond Princess.
Ah, wow.
3 days before it hit the news as having the first COVID cases on the ship. And then I watched it, I think, for the next 2 or 3 months get worse and worse and worse.
Yeah.
With the ship stuck in Japan and all the cases.
That's crazy.
And then I was lucky enough to be first out on a ship again.
In the whole world, I reckon as well. And you've got this job out there. You've been on a cruise ship now for how long, Steve?
6.5 months.
Wow, that's incredible.
I went into quarantine in the UK next to Heathrow Airport on October the 25th, and got to Singapore and joined the ship on the 11th November, and then did 2 weeks quarantine on the ship before they let me out.
That's amazing. And you're there basically. We can't say too much, but you are there, and it's testing the system to see if it works again. And
it's proving that
you're happy
can be done and can be done safely.
Yes,
which we've done. We haven't had a single actual COVID case on board in the 6 months.
That is amazing. And it's not. You said it's not what it used to be, but it's the start, isn't it?
It's changed as an experience, but it's still a fantastic thing.
Yeah,
and a great gig and a wonderful job. It's just with all the precautions and the safety and the distancing and all the rest of it, it is different. You have to do more shows, obviously, because only so many people are allowed in theatre at a time for social distancing.
Okay.
And health and safety.
Yeah.
So where you'd normally do, say, a full theatre or a half full, whatever, and you'd have, I don't know, maybe 1,200 seats there, and they'd all pretty much be full.
Yeah.
Now, when we first started, we had 100 people.
Okay.
Every other seat was blocked off, so you'd literally be performing to 100 people. So you can't just do one show and go, or 2 shows like we used to. You have to do 4 and give more people a chance to see it.
Yeah. Wow. Sounds like my last tour.
Which is fair, right? I mean...
Yeah. Yeah. It is fair, and that's what it is about the experiment, isn't it? You've been an experiment, but it's been a success, and it's so nice that you were the chosen one to go out there and do it, because you've got this experience, and you've got the act. I
just felt so privileged to be allowed to come out and do it.
Oh, it's amazing. We're so proud of you, mate. It's brilliant. It's brilliant to hear that. It's so glad that it's worked out,
and hopefully, we've proved the model, and now you can see that other ships are coming out now.
Yeah. So, Steve, when I joined the Water Rats, the Grand Order of Water Rats, and a great fraternity and charity, looks after show business people and different charities. But you joined a couple of years ago, but I think you're still Baby Rat. Usually you're Baby Rat.
Yeah. I think I have to be I probably have the world record.
I need to get this in the Guinness Book of Records. We need to do this. I tell you, next time there's a lodge and you're there, I'll make sure the Guinness Book of Records are there, because nobody has been Baby Rat, I don't think, as long as you have. And it's
Isn't it weird though? Yeah.
It is weird, yeah, because normally there's a brand new rat 2 or 3 weeks later, and you came in, and then I think COVID hit, so it's
COVID hit and all the lodges were cancelled, and
yeah, well, there you go.
You
got your record. That's the first one. So that's great.
Yeah, let's see if we can get that one then.
Yeah, well, it'll be so nice to see you again. That whether we have a Water Rats ball, when Dougie Brown is our king rat. Last year and this year, it's been extended. Bless him. But it's wonderful to have you as a brother now, Steve, in this business. And the Water Rats
likewise, it's lovely to be one. Yeah, it's amazing.
It's a fabulous thing, and the history is incredible. So it's so nice. But Steve,
Laurel and Hardy, Charlie Chaplin,
Steve Rawlings.
It's not quite the same, is it?
Oh, it's not the same. It's different. That's
it's an honour to be part of a club that they were part of. That's for sure.
Oh, definitely. And it's where it brings people together. Whether you're a producer or an actor, singer, dancer, and there's so many different talents brought together within the Water Rats is what it was all about, and variety. And it's so nice that it's still going these days. And long may it live. And Steve Rawlings, thank you so much for being on Eyes and Teeth. It's been an incredible journey listening to your story.
Absolute pleasure, and thanks for talking to me. Yeah, it's been lovely.
No, I've really loved it, and I'm so glad I've got you, because you're out there in Singapore now, and I didn't think I could do this until you got back, but then you said let's do it on Messenger. So
living the dream, my friend, living the dream.
Well, mate, you take care of yourself, and we can't wait to see you again.
Look forward to seeing you soon.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Mr. Steve Rawlings.
Cheers.
Eyes and Teeth.
Thank you, Mr. Steve Rawlings, and safe journey, my friend. To see more of Steve, go to YouTube and see his record-breaking videos and collaboration with his son Jay Rawlings. Enjoy those clips. To find out more, go to Steve's website at www.steverawlingsjuggler.com. On Facebook, you can find him as Steve Rawlings. Today's comedy quote comes from fellow Covent Garden performer Eddie Izzard. If you've never seen an elephant ski, then you've never been on acid. Eyes and Teeth is written, produced and hosted by Steve Hewlett. Vocals by Lola, Larissa and Nina Hewlett. Additional vocals by Rich T. The Eyes and Teeth music and jingles are produced and performed by Water Rat Kevin Dean. Join me on yet another Water Rat special as we veer closer to the end of Season 8 when I chat with banjolele genius and variety prince Andy Eastwood.